From Jeremy Lin catching fire in the 2011-12 season to Mike James turning into prime 90s Mike in Toronto. Here are the biggest one-season wonders in NBA history, starting with Bobby Simmons, the true definition of a one-season wonder. I mean, everything about his story screams just a fellow with a good season in the NBA. Nothing more than a second-round pick back in 2001, Bobby was immediately traded to the Wizards. It didn't work out, so he moved to the Clippers. You see where this is going, right? A typical journeyman. However, all of a sudden in the 2004-05 season, Simmons broke out. Huge. He was putting numbers over 16 PPG a game with his shooting average around the extremely impressive 466. Not to mention, he drained 53 pointers that season. As you'd expect, Bobby was named the most improved player that season, and that clout helped him sign a contract with the Bucks. Almost immediately, his career went sideways. After trying his best, he couldn't replicate those numbers in the season to come, and by 2006, an injury had completely put him off the path. He spent 5 more years bouncing around the league and then retired in 2012 as a one-hit wonder. But he wasn't the only standout star during that time, as a certain Larry Hughes built a strong reputation for being a streaky scorer in the NBA. Very similar to Simmons, Hughes actually put all his skills together in the 2004-05 season for the Wizards and absolutely exploded. He became a full-time starter and a force with and without the ball.
I always pride myself on playing defense. Like, you know, even before the accolades or whatnot, it's like, I'm not going to just let you score on me or do whatever you want to do. Right. I mean, let's make the game easy for you. So I'm going to make the game tough for you, and then I'm going to try to score on the other end. But to get rewarded for that stuff, and, you know what I'm saying, my hands are tore up, man.
22 points per game, along with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. That's fantastic numbers. And he was averaging 3 steals per game too, the most in the league that year. As a result, Larry made it to the All-NBA Defense First Team, and then never repeated that success, partly due to injuries, which were also responsible for derailing the surprising career of Aaron Brooks, who with a frame totaling 161 pounds, made it to the NBA. Size matters definitely, even if it's the other way around. But after 2 seasons off the bench for the Rockets, Brooks came up with his best season in the NBA in his 3rd season with the Rockets. With 20 points per game, along with 5 assists, Brooks was also named the most improved player. That was in part due to his .432 shooting percentage. And while his stock was rising around the league, an untimely leg injury cut his time down. Brooks went to Phoenix and the progress just stopped. He's still active, but on a 2-way liaison contract with the Knicks as a coach, with his final stint as a player coming to Minnesota in the NBA. But another player who peaked with a similar stat line was Mike James. I mean, if your peak is winning the NBA and you've actually contributed as a player, then it's not a bad peak, right? But up until that season with the Detroit Pistons in 2004, James wasn't really much of a player. Nicknamed Pitbull by his peers, James shared names with 2 of the greatest players of all time, but only shone like them in 1 season over the course of his career. However, the lead up to that crazy season as a Raptor wasn't that bad either. James came off the bench for the Pistons in their 2004 success and was actually pretty useful. Then he got a well-deserved move to Toronto, where he came up with a staggering 20.3 points per game and nearly 6 assists every night. He was shooting 44.2% from the 3-point range. MJ who? But a look back at his career showcases that he was nothing more than a journeyman, who basically played for 20 different franchises, which included the Austrian League, the Turkish League, and the Chinese League. This basically takes us to players who are something like cult heroes in the NBA now. And allow me to kick the proceedings off by a name that many certainly remember, Bismack Biyombo. He's currently playing for the Phoenix Suns for a 2nd season and has been a regular part of 4 franchises during his NBA career, playing a lot of games every season. But his performances during the Toronto Raptors' 2016 playoff run were truly an outlier, and I'm sure no one will disagree with that claim.
So with that being said, is, you know, the accomplishment that we have as a team here has been, for me, I have to say that I'm beyond grateful, you know. It took me 4 years to go through a lot of things.
In those 20 games in the postseason, Biyombo was absolutely unplayable, scoring well over 11 points per night and coming up with 10.4 rebounds and 2 blocks per game. Biyombo was at one point during the conference finals plus 22 when on the field. That led him to hit the 2016 free agency period with so much promise that he actually landed a $70 million deal with the Magic, which hasn't been justified since.
And I was really excited to be part of it, because I think in the end, for all of us, what we're trying to accomplish is winning, and winning to me is very important. So when the opportunity came, I really feel confident.
But he certainly remained a beloved name in Toronto. However, before Bismarck, there was Dana Barros, the point guard who lit up Philly in the 1994-95 season. But I almost didn't include him on the list. That's because Barros was always someone used as a backup and came off the bench sparingly. All said and done, that 94-95 season in Philly was madness. He probably felt like he had something to prove. And boy did he prove it, right? Barros came up with 21 points, averaging 8 assists and 2 steals with 3 rebounds. Those are phenomenal numbers. I don't need to tell you that, right? He made it to a well-deserved All-Star selection, the only one in his career. But how about another 76ers one-season wonder? I'm talking about Michael Carter-Williams. The rookie sold dreams to fans and then disappeared. Drafted by the 76ers, Carter-Williams became an instant hit after becoming an instant starter for Philadelphia. He was averaging 17 points per game and producing 6 assists and 6 rebounds every night. An easy pick for Rookie of the Year, right? The 76ers thought they'd found their superstar, but Carter-Williams never really quite replicated that kind of form again. After spending some time with the Bucks and the Bulls, Michael was taken on board by the Hornets and the Rockets.
Really helped me, and then this year, I just thought, it wasn't easy for me. I'm not going to sit here and say, it was easy for me going to the game. But, I felt that, I competed at certain times in a different level than a lot of people. So
he was seen playing for the Magic in 2022 for the final time, up until now. Still 31. Does he have a chance of restarting his career? Probably not. Similar to the story of Larry Sanders, the man who's been nothing more than a cautionary tale in NBA history. Sanders entered the league back in the 2010 season with a lot of hope. Unfortunately, injuries never allowed him to reach his true potential until his 3rd season came along. The big man was truly consistent and averaged nearly a double-double for points and assists, only to get riddled with more injuries and drug-related issues. Larry was out of the league within a few years after showing so much promise. And I'll be honest, I really thought we had one with Sanders, but no one will ever come close to the wonder that Jeremy Lin was as a one-season hit. I mean, he's the reason the word Linsanity came into being. Linsanity happened during the 2011-12 season when the then backup point guard Jeremy Lin was forced into a starting role. And boy did he grab that opportunity firmly. Lin would put up nearly 15 points per night, leading the Knicks to the playoffs along with 6 assists. Those numbers may not stand out big time, but his leadership was very much visible on the court.
Thomas launches a 3, doesn't go. Lin with a rebound. Lin attacking, and a nice move by Jeremy Lin in tight.
Great job of using his body.
That massive winning streak is basically part of popular culture at this point, and so is Jeremy Lin. But unfortunately, he never really was able to replicate that form and hasn't played in the NBA since the 2019 season. That's all I have on NBA players who only had one good season.